You know, when I think about it, I'm just a remixer. In fact, most of us are. Because when I look back on what I've done, there's very little original stuff. And that original stuff was just me filming what I could on location. But most of us producers do that. We review, react, redub, and commentate on other people's creative labors. And unshamingly. But we usually turn it into something else, for better or for worse. And it's always stuff from pop culture and internet culture. You have to remember the biggest again YouTuber did the same thing with games and memes. But if we think about it, this practice has been done so many times in music. And I'm not talking about the repetitive classics we usually hear. This dates back to 1988 when the KLF released their novelty hit, Doctrine, the TARDIS. The track sampled the opening theme to the classic BBC sci-fi show, Doctor Who. Despite its popularity, it got into legal problems, as it was felt by some that this is copyright infringement. This, of course, started the controversy of fair use that is still being debated today. This idea would continue with another group of Brits, The Prodigy, with their hit Charlie. The idea of putting rave music to a UK kids public safety cartoon known as Charlie Says is as odd as it sounds, but these two things don't go together so much that it actually works. And it made other creative minds think, what else could I get a good beat from? Well, apparently audio from video games, such as with Aphex Twin's Power Pill. It's amusing to think that the primitive sounds of an 80s arcade machine could make such a great house track, along with Techno Syndrome's Test Your Might. Again, using audio files from the fighter Mortal Kombat. It became one of the most memorable hits of the 90s. Even people who are not gamers who have never heard of Mortal Kombat have probably heard of that song. It was so popular that it eventually got used in the Mortal Kombat movie. Even the Utah States took a stab at the franchise with their version of it, but this time using audio from the feature film. But while the gaming technology improved, such as the sound and graphics getting better, they were able to remix things themselves, such as Jet Set Radio's nabbing of a line from a British sitcom. Within the track for Let Mom Sleep, uses a line from the show Havecock's Half Hour. Don't forget, even remixes of scores from the big screen are popular. Even the big blockbuster epics such as Das Boot, Braveheart, and Gladiator. Even if they don't use the film's theme, they do a pretty good job using random audio files. For example, check out the Happy Mondays WFL Think About the Future mix. Yes, it refers to Nicholson's line in Batman. But if you want to take this seriously, you could argue that this is blasphemy. You could say reworking stuff like this breaks the rule of you can't change what is perfect. Yeah, true, but some of these songs really capture the spirit of the original, especially Tiesto's Braveheart. And of course, that brings us full circle. With the World Wide Web at our hands, we have the capacity to store almost anything. That allows groups like the uniquely brilliant Gregory Brothers to give us their take on the news, even unpopular gamers such as Markiplier and Jacksepticeye, and Jontron with Titanic. If you think about it deeply, there's a weird Hall of Mirrors effect. It's a musical remix about a guy playing a game based on a movie based on a famous sea disaster. And a big reason why a lot of these go viral is the use of auto-tune, making their voices sound like they're singing. Even the most unlikely of channels would attempt this art form, such as PBS Studios, by remixing some of our most lovable televised teachers. But also from YouTube, we would see perfect examples of talent that was on par with the mainstream, such as Pogo with his remixes of famous Disney movies. Not only are these entertaining, but they actually captured the heart of the original. Perfect example, check out Boy and Bear. Also, there's Overclocked Remix, a haven of reworking our favorite video game themes. And how can I discuss all this without mentioning Vaporwave? Its style, well, let's call it philosophy of music, is to combine smooth jazz and funk into a trance-like beat, creating a nostalgic atmosphere. And yes, it's just kind of music for music, Like you can tell it's just slowed down, but the inserts of random voices and Japanese old school pop culture almost reinvents the rhyme and reason of music. It also makes us realize a lot of this is fandom. Our respect for it brings out the best in it by bringing out the best of us. You could say it's been going on for more than 2 decades. We might be just the people carrying on the tradition, and more importantly, might be on par with what we had in our past. And maybe, just maybe, we've learned that there's nothing that can't be remixed.